Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily, the first English news program in Poland. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. Ukraine is reporting a high voter turnout in today's presidential elections. At 3 p.m. local time, nearly 54% of Ukrainians took part in the elections. Plenty of Ukrainians living in Poland went to the polls for their candidate. There are plenty of choices in the race as 39 candidates were included on the ballot, making the sheet 80 centimeters over 2 feet long.
So far, Ukraine's Central Election Commission did not notice any systemic violations during voting in the presidential elections. It is very likely that none of the 39 candidates will win over 50% of the votes, making the final second round trail closely to the initial round of elections. As polls are topped by the 41-year-old political newcomer Volodymyr Zelensky, a former comedian, the question being asked now is who will be the second incumbent, President Petro Poroshenko or the former Prime Minister Yulia Tymoshenko. The elections are under scrutiny in the shadow of potential Russian propaganda, compounding with the ongoing conflict in the east side of the country, as well as Moscow's celebration of the seizure of Crimea 5 years ago. But above much of the issues, the Ukrainians demand the end of corruption.
The Association of Journalists and History Experts published an appeal concerning the scandalous words of Professor Paweł Szczepniak, who, in an interview for the Czech Tygodnik Echo Weekly, stated that the Poles killed more Jews than the Germans during the Second World War.
With great sadness have we heard the news of an interview given by Professor Paweł Szczepniak for the Czech Tygodnik Echo Weekly. Yet again, a representative of Polish science accused Poles of supposedly killing more Jews than Germans. In said interview, Professor Szczepniak also repeats the never and in no way proven thesis that Poles were to kill most of the 200,000 Jews who escaped ghettos. It's not fitting for the director of the Jewish Historical Institute and an academic professor to call for data which has no basis in any respected scientific research. Given the professor's achievements, in example his work Remembrance After Communism, we appeal to stop the devastation of Polish public life with statements similar to the aforementioned.
Zuzana Čaputová has been elected president of Slovakia as the first ever woman to ever hold state office in the country. The 45-year-old president-elect came from the Progressive Slovakia Party, which has yet to enter the parliament. Čaputová, who was expected to easily win the second election turn, prevailed with 58.2% of the votes. Her opponent, Maroš Šefčovič, a vice president of the European Commission, obtained 41% of the support. Today marks the third anniversary since the launching of the 500+ program by the Law and Justice Party. A celebratory ceremony was held in Prague, attended by various politicians involved in the bill, including the Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki, who emphasized the importance of the pro-family program.
A celebratory ceremony was held today in Puławy to highlight the third year since launching the 500+ program, which provides financial sponsorship to families with children. Notable politicians attending the ceremony includes Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki, Marshal Beata Mazurek and Minister Elżbieta Rafalska. The Prime Minister made a speech emphasizing the importance of maintaining the family value, which is what the program aimed to achieve. Our children's future is the future of our country, and we promise that we will develop our programs and take care of the budget for the good of the family, for the benefit of children, for the future of Poland. It is also worth noting that the program has gone through various revisions, one of it being the extension for the financial benefits to be applied starting from the first child. The Prime Minister assesses that the decision is a direct demonstration of the full trust that the government puts in the family and emphasizes that the program have already helped numerous families get back on their feet. At the ceremony, the Family Minister Elżbieta Rafalska informed that 67 billion zloty had already been allocated from the state budget for the Family 500+ program, benefiting 6.3 million children after amending the program.
The Eastern Borderlands charity campaign made their trip to the eastern part of the country today, bringing donated gifts to the Poles living in the east as their pre-holiday effort to provide aid to the region. The project has been going on for many years with the support of scouts and the volunteers.
The Eastern Borderlands charity campaign is a pre-holiday donation of gifts for the Poles living in the East. According to the volunteers, the project is just a pretext to meet with the Poles from the eastern borderlands.
Te kresy w potrzebie to też przede wszystkim jest właśnie
Providing
ta
material
potrzeba
support
kontaktu
is also very
z Polską,
important.
kontaktu
The contact with the Poles is the most important thing. The Poles shouldn't be afraid to go to Lithuania or Belarus.
Nie bali się jechać na Litwę. Ta akcja,
We know who needs our help the most thanks to the priest who inform us.
chcę to podkreślić.
Volunteers will meet with the Poles living in Belarus and Lithuania. They prepared over 600 packages. The project is supported by, among others, the Polish Post and the Polish National Foundation.
Spojrzeliśmy na
We're buying things that are missing in these packages because we want every single package to have the same things inside.
kupić to, czego brakuje do paczek.
The Borderlands in Need, the Poles to the Poles Foundation, has been helping the Poles living in the East for years. The Scouts and other volunteers are supporting the project.
Na kresy
It
jeździli.
all started 10 years ago and I actually met my wife there.
Dały mi żonę.
Many Poles in need are in the Vilnius and Grodno region. The eastern borderlands are a real story. During the war, the Poles were deported to Siberia and then expelled to Poland's new borders. Volunteers will go with gifts to the Poles living in the eastern borderlands again in a week.
That's it for today. See you next time on Poland Daily. But stay tuned for the Poland Daily Weather Report, followed by the Poland Daily Business section.
Welcome to Poland Daily Weather. This night sky will be overcast but without rainfall. Temperature will rise and will range from 5 to 6 degrees. Pressure will be high. Let's see the forecast for tomorrow. We will see plenty of sunshine all over Poland. Sky will be little cloudy around Koszalin and Szczecin. Temperatures will range from 7 to 11 degrees on the south. Let's take a look at the forecast for the next days. Tuesday promises to be sunny. Temperature will range from 9 to 15 degrees. On Wednesday, rainfall will appear on the west. The highest temperature we will see in central and on southeastern Poland, 16 degrees. On Thursday, temperature will increase to 19 degrees in Śląsk. There will be moments with the sun, but rainfall will appear as well. Thank you for watching and see you soon.
You're watching Poland Daily Business Edition. Tonight, a very special guest in our studio, Rita Cosby.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
American journalist, TV star, and great personality. And also, the person who learned about her past quite late in your life. The name of your father, Cichy Bohater, you wrote a story. This is a book in Polish. And this is the same book, Silent, Quiet Hero, in English. Books are available in the bookshops, in the internet outlets, but we will talk about the book and how it changed your life.
Very much. You know, I was very much an American before I went on this journey, Alexander. And then suddenly, only a few years ago, after my mother had passed away, I went into a storage locker and where we put a lot of her belongings. So we thought, and we're in the storage locker and we saw this old tan battered suitcase in the storage locker. And I opened it up and inside I essentially saw my father's life. I saw these items here. I saw this rusty POW tag, red and white fighting Polish armband, which is familiar to so many of you
Wojsko
here.
Polskie, Polish Army.
Yes, but I didn't know it. As an American, I said, what? Okay, this is Polish. I knew my father had been in war and was Polish, but I didn't really know the details. And when I found these items, I just wept because it was really the first time that I had a grasp of what my father went through. And I knew from my mother always said, your father was a hero. And I reached out to my father and I said, Dad, I want to know who you are. I want to know who I am. And I tell everybody, it's funny, you know, for my career as a journalist like you, I spend my whole life interviewing everybody. And it started a journey where I said, I need to find out about my own past. And what I learned was this incredible story of the Warsaw Uprising that I did not know. I knew just very little about it. And when I said, here I am, an educated American, I'm a journalist who's traveled the world and interviewed many world leaders, and been in war zones and interviewed prisoners of war, but I'd never seen a POW tag before. And I said, if I don't know the story of the Warsaw Uprising, then most Americans do not know the story, and I need to share it with the world because it's an incredible story of David and Goliath, of, as you know, the uprisers were so outmanned, so outgunned. They only had, sticks and Molotov cocktails and very few weapons, and yet they were charging. And I thought, I need to tell the story not just of my father, but of the courage of these incredible people, these uprisers, who had the guts to charge in something much bigger than themselves,
and why
the
do
love
you
of
think
country.
they stood up?
I think they stood up because they loved this country. When my father and I came back here, my father just cried, and it was so many memories for him.
That was his first visit in Poland after 1945.
65 years,
Oh my goodness.
almost to the day almost.
Mm-hmm.
And, like many people, for many reasons, my father couldn't come back. I mean, part of the reasons were he was afraid to come back because he was a known fighter. And had he come back, he might have been tortured by the communists or killed, as we saw what happened during the visit here with the Polish National Foundation. We went into the Mokotów prison, and you could see what was happening. My father feared putting his family in danger and friends and people he loved, and certainly himself, and also painful, emotional too for him. But when he came back, he just cried. And I'll never forget, he looked up at me, and then he saw this vibrant Poland rising again, like the eagle from the ashes. And my father said, Poland was absolutely worth fighting for. And he said he would do it again. Because he said, I love this country. I love what it stands for. And my father was one of those people who tried to help those in the ghetto and those outside, because he believed if you were Catholic or Jewish, whatever it was, if you were Polish, you were worth fighting for. And he believed, it was very much a teenager, idyllic, but said, and my father was ready to die for Poland. He thought many times he would die for Poland in the fight, but he said, I would do it all over again. It was worth it.
What about how it was for you? It was like the very important thing of your past was closed in that locker for such a long time, and you are rediscovering it right now.
Yes.
Over and over, different stories, different personalities are coming out of nowhere and saying, Rita, I'm part of your past.
Yes, I just ran into someone the other day who knew whose grandfather knew my father, and said, I used to go swimming, in the Vistula River and kayaking in the Vistula River. And for me, it's been an amazing discovery. And I'm also thankful because, I feel like there's a reason I discovered it now, later in life, because to be a journalist who was very experienced and had spent time, and I could appreciate the story and also have context. And in many ways, I feel because I came at it first as an outsider looking in, that was maybe fortunate because I could look at it with fresh eyes and look at it as someone who was just learning the story and learning it to be able to share it to other people who maybe didn't know as much about the story. And because of that, I hope that has been helpful, because if I'm learning it at fresh eyes, then they're learning it with fresh eyes. And maybe that's helpful, that it can come from an outsider's perspective to say, oh my gosh, okay, these people were fighting with next to nothing. They were charging. They were willing to die for something much bigger than themselves. And as I've come to learn, and here, especially during this visit, I've come to learn it didn't just embody my father and his comrades. It embodied the Polish spirit. Even to this day, I see it in the young people of Poland, and that makes me so proud. It's a bigger thing. It's the Polish people that I can hopefully sell to the world in any way I can.
You wrote the book Quiet Hero is on and available. Do you have feedback from your readers? What did they say?
Oh, it's amazing to me. And I know when I went on this journey, Alexander, it was a personal journey. It was a daughter getting to know her father. And I thought it would be special because I knew it was a special story, the story of Poland. But since it's come out, I have gotten letters and emails and messages from literally all over the world, from people who tell me that this book has changed their life. And I've gotten letters from people in Africa and Australia who have said, and it was a big bestseller, of course, in America, which made me so proud to see Poland in the headlines, you know? And one of the greatest moments was we were on a plane, and I'll never forget this. We're on a plane, and I remember seeing in front of me these people reading the book, these women. So what are you're watching them reading my book about my father in Poland, made me so proud. So what are you reading? And I came over to them afterwards, and there are all these Post-it notes, all these stickers on it. And they said, we've been learning about Poland. We were going to go to the Caribbean. We're kind of a book travel group. We were going to go to the Caribbean. And now after reading your book, we're following Ryszard Kozabutsky's steps. We're all going to Warsaw. We can't wait to go to this incredible place called Poland. And that to me made me so proud.
So it is a fantastic story and still developing, because there's
Still
lots
developing.
in front of you about this story and about this message.
Such an important message, because for me, you know, my father fought for Poland. And to me, there's so many great, I've been getting people who got to know my father. I've been learning so many different parts about Warsaw. I've been learning new discoveries, even in my own family, new pieces of things that I never knew before, and many that I learned on this visit. So the story definitely continues. And for me, I'll be talking about Poland until my final moments as well.
Now I'll tell you something that will that you will be surprised. Lots of Polish people also are still discovering their own roots, because it has been buried under this communist ashes, and we have to learn who were our grandfathers, who their grandfathers were. So this is our common Polish faith, to dig deeper and find out the past.
And I went to, one of the things I did during the visit was I spoke at Cardinal Wyszynski University in Warsaw. And to be there and see the young people, my message to the young people of Poland is learn about your past. I had a couple who came over who said, my grandfather fought in the uprising, or my grandfather never talked about it. Now, after hearing your story, I'm going to go home and talk to them. And that makes me so proud, because the next generation of Poles, my message to them was, you have so much to be proud of. You have so much rich history. Don't lose that. There are a few living legends around, not that many uprisers. My father has passed now. He's not with us. But there are still some living legends. Some of my father's comrades, the few that made it, are here. Get their stories now. Maybe they're your neighbor. Maybe they're your grandfather. Get these stories. You have much to be proud of.
And you will be better to follow the advice of Rita Cosby.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Rita Cosby was our guest, and that was it for tonight's Poland Daily Business.
Welcome back to Poland Daily Weather. Let's see the forecast for tomorrow. We will see plenty of sunshine all over Poland. Sky will be little cloudy around Koszalin and Szczecin. Temperatures will range from 7 to 11 degrees on the south. Let's take a look at the forecast for our continent. In the Balkans, temperature will range from 17 to 18 degrees in Athens. In British Islands, more sun is expected. There, the temperature will range from 11 to 13 degrees in London. Temperature will drop in Scandinavia to 8 degrees in Oslo and 7 in Stockholm. The highest temperature we will see in Lisbon, 20 degrees. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
The Scouting Association of the Polish Republic was founded on the 12th of February in 1989. At present, the Scouting Association has over 15,000 members. It is an associate member of the Confederation of European Scouts. The Scouting Association is a public benefit organization that was established in 1989. It aims to continue the traditions and educational thought of several generations of Polish Scouts. The roots of the ZHR, or the Scouting Association, date back to 1980, when the Circle of Scouting Instructors was created. Andrzej Małkowski gathered together independent environmental scouts and instructors. The Scouting Association of the Republic is a community of friends, children, youth, and adults who, based on Christian values, through scout leaders, work on themselves to help others. They seek adventure and pursue other elements of the scouting life that educate a person to find a life full of happiness, to be responsible for oneself and for one's fellow citizens, and to take on the challenges of the modern world.
I'm here with Jakub Pajkowski. Jakub, welcome to Poland Daily Culture.
Welcome, thank you very much. Be prepared.
Thank you. I hope I am prepared anyway. So I wanted to start off with maybe one of the biggest events that sort of happened for scouting in recent times, which was World Youth Day. Could you tell us a little something about World Youth Day?
Yeah, that's right. That's perfectly right. That it was one of the biggest events that scouting in Poland ever participated in. I got a badge with logo of World Youth Days in here. This is a huge event for young people, Catholics, but not only from all around the world. We got this event 3 years ago in Poland, in Krakow, and now we got our service, scout service, medical service. There in Panama. Panama is a different country, definitely mentally and culturally. It's way different than Poland, than everything we know. So the training for this service also connected with preparation, with learning of Spanish language, knowing this culture. These people are extremely open, and they were so happy to have us there. They were really helpful, but it was needed and necessary for us because our service was really hard. Scout service.
Yeah, sure. And so what sort of things were you doing in Panama?
Sure. We got a team of rescuers, scout rescuers, trained all the time here in Poland. It's important for young people to know how to work with first aid, how to work in basic medical accidents and everything. So in scouting, you train these people, and these people after trainings, qualified first aid rescuers, have their qualifies here in Poland. And during World Youth Days in Krakow, we got a service for over 1,000 people from Scout. It's this batch from medical Scout voluntary service, and the president of Panama was so impressed by our behavior, by our professionality. He asked us if we can go to Panama to help them during World Youth Days in Panama. So we started working and started preparation for that. It was 3 years of heavy work here in Poland to get everything done. We sent a crew there to Panama 2 months before World Youth Days to prepare everything and to work with government, work with volunteers there. Then we got all preparations done, and all the team of nearly 200 people arrived, and we got this service, which is medical service. We secured all events, biggest events during World Youth Days, fire department of Panama with other rescue organizations there. We got the agreements that let us work with the people. Our service is like we have 4 or 5 person foot patrols all around the field of the event. And if something medical event occurs, our help is needed, we are there. We transport this needing person from the point of accident to the nearest field hospital.
And how did it go? Were there any accidents? Did you need?
Sure, they were, because basically, in Panama, this is a warm country, and warm is, I think, a little bit less than it's in fact. It's extremely high humidity.
What was the temperature?
30-35 degrees. And what's important to know, that at the same time in Poland we get -10, -5 degrees. So when our volunteers go there, it was nearly 40 degrees Celsius difference. And that was shocking. We got the acclimatization there, acclimatization process, including trainings, physical trainings, everyday routine, like running or something, because it's extremely needed for that service to be prepared for anything. Not only I have to take care of myself, of my team, but I got people that I'm supposed to help, and I can't do it if I'm not ready for that. So the scout motto there, "Be prepared," was really, really important for us, and we definitely were prepared. These events, basically, maybe not all of our help, but it's like when someone don't drink enough water, when they're fainting, they're feeling weak, we get to transport them to the field hospitals. We got accidents where we just don't have a contact with person. We got to as quick as possible transport to the field hospital, because I personally am a qualified nurse after medical studies, but plenty of our volunteers are not allowed to do anything more than CPR or any basic first aid activities. So we are this first part of the chain that leads to the saving someone's life. And from time we can perform this transportation from point A to point B, which is this field hospital. It's basically one of the most important things.
During Holy Mass on World Youth Day in Krakow, Pope Francis announced that Panama would be the next host for a world meeting of Scouts. A meeting in the Southern Hemisphere was a distant target for the ZHR Scouts from Poland. The president of Panama, appreciating the involvement of ZHR in medical security, invited their representatives to meet. Participation in World Youth Day on the border between the Americas, that is Panama, between North and South America, and being in Central America is a perfect place for this gathering. The entire Polish Scouting organization, in particular the Scout Volunteer Ambulance Service, are preparing themselves for this event.
So yeah, sounds like a sort of great honour that the fact that this. So who was it from Panama who requested that the Polish Boy Scouts come to Panama for World Youth Day?
Firstly, we got an invitation from President of Panama.
Wow! Okay.
And he asked us for during World Youth Days in Krakow after it was announced that Panama is the next host of World Youth Days. He see our scouts, our work, and he told us, okay, let's come to Panama. You have my invitation. Of course, it's the head of the country, so there's plenty of logistical planning in the middle of that, meeting of different groups of people responsible for transportation. There from our localization, place when we stay. It was another story for this preparation, because we got to have something for our volunteers there. We have to have place for them to sleep. We have to have enough water and all supplies, because these volunteers, when coming out to the service on the field of events, for example, for the main events, these people were staying on these fields for nearly 26 hours, all the time securing these people. So this was constant service, of course, with some circulations when it was needed for some breaks and for rest, for sleep. But it was really exhausting service. So this preparation for them to have everything done around them to help, it was critical for us to organize that.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Poland Daily History. Today we dive into the life and history of the great General Tadeusz Kościuszko. He is the hero of three nations, Poland, America, and to the Belarusians. He fought Russia twice in Poland and participated in the American Revolution War on the side of the Americans. Join us as we explore his military career and his interesting life. Our first guest is Dr. Leszek Marek Szczesniak, the head of the Polish Kościuszko Foundation. We will speak in front of the statue of Tadeusz Kościuszko in central Warsaw. Together, we will examine General Kościuszko's background and the motivation behind his lifelong quest for freedom. General Kościuszko is not only a really prominent figure in Poland, but also have his significance in taking part of the American Revolutionary War. I was wondering if you can elaborate a little bit about that part of his history.
Kiedy w 1775 roku Kościuszko usiłował porwać pannę Sosnowską.
When Kościuszko tried to kidnap Ludwika Sosnowska in 1775 and later had to leave the country, the United States of America began their battle for independence. Kościuszko heard that was happening. He traveled to France, and from there he got on a ship to America. While he was on that cruise, the ship got into an accident. They crashed off the coast of Martinique. Since he could swim, he reached that island and went on to live there for a couple of weeks. That was the beginning of the journey he took in a little boat from one island to another until he reached Florida and volunteered to join the US Army. He was first admitted as a major, later he proposed his ideas and past achievements to the Congress, and as a result he became a colonel engineer of the American Army. His monthly salary was $60, but he did not collect it. Since he was an engineer, he would build the defenses and fortifications. It needs to be noted that Kościuszko played an enormous role in the history of the United States of America because he was the reason that war was won. Kościuszko participated in the Battle of Saratoga. He built a huge port named West Point. Today they have a military academy there. He built many reinforcements, and by the end of the war he became the head of engineering in the US Army. However, he was still ranked only as a colonel and still did not collect his salary, even though he was well respected and visited by George Washington. One of his brilliant ideas was to block the English ships from entering the Hudson River. He decided to submerge a giant chain from bank to bank, which stopped the British ships. There were many such inventions that Kościuszko created, which led to that war being won by the United States of America. After the war had ended, Tadeusz Kościuszko was made general. However, he still did not receive compensation since the national treasury was broke after the war. He only received an assurance that he will gain interest on the salary he could not cash in at that time. He then received a letter from that Ludwika Sosnowska I mentioned before. She wrote to him that she was missing him and wanted to see him again. That was enough of an impulse for Kościuszko. He did not wait until he was paid for his time in the US Army and traveled first to France and later to Poland. When he arrived in Poland, he visited King Stanisław Augustus Poniatowski and said, "I am a general. Do you have a vacancy I could fill in your army?" The Polish army was only about 13,000 strong. It was a small army. Kościuszko was too poor to buy himself a position in the ranks, and so the king told him he could only give him the rank of colonel. Kościuszko did not like that. He was in fact offended, and so he moved to the areas near Brest, a city in today's Belarus, right at the Polish border. He had his family fortune there in Siechnowice, and he settled there alone for 5 years. He would plant trees, make cheese, until 1788, when the Great Sejm gathered to create a greater Polish army. That was when Kościuszko found his place in the Polish army. He was admitted as a general. When the Polish Constitution of May 3rd was established, he swore at the Constitution along with his subordinate soldiers.
On przysięgę na konstytucję złożył, również ze swoimi żołnierzami 10 maja. Był już wtedy na Ukrainie i wtedy po prostu pilnował granic Polski.
Our next guest is the historian Dr. Krzysztof Jabłonka. We will speak with him in Osienna Pomockowska, an elder forest in Warsaw which served as the Polish line of defense that managed to repel the final assault of the Prussian army during the joint Prussian and Russian siege of Warsaw in 1794 as they tried to put down the Kościuszko uprising. General Kościuszko is one of the most trusted men of the President George Washington, and I was wondering what contributions did he make to earn him that position.
Trzeba powiedzieć, że Washington, jak się poznał na Kościuszce, na jego talentach.
It must be said that George Washington valued Tadeusz Kościuszko greatly, although he found it impossible to pronounce his last name correctly. He called him Kościuszko, and as such, Kościuszko became a part of American history. I myself witnessed a US general trying to pay respects to two great Poles, Tadeusz Kościuszko and Kazimierz Pułaski. He said that the event in question was held in memory of Pułaski and the other one, as Kościuszko's name is impossible to pronounce for him. Kościuszko was very hard-working, but he also had great relations with regular farmers turned soldiers of the US Army. He also had a good connection with his aide, who was a black man. He was essentially a slave. Nevertheless, Kościuszko treated him with utmost respect, and he would never make him feel as if he was owned by anybody. From the very beginning, Kościuszko took Timoleon, a strategist from ancient Athens, as his role model. The Greek made his name by defeating the tyrants over in Sicily and left the defended areas to their original inhabitants. He refused to become a tyrant himself. And so, Kościuszko saw Timoleon as a person he could look up to, a man who liberated without enslaving. Indeed, he managed to do so. There is a story to prove that. When Kościuszko left to travel somewhere far, his aide decided to throw a party for his other black friends. He put on the general's uniform and hosted a picnic. However, the rivers were overflown and Kościuszko was forced to return. Upon seeing his superior, Nathaniel, as that was his first name, fell to his knees and begged Kościuszko for forgiveness. Then the Polish general said, "No, do not worry, let me be your guest. This is your picnic after all." After he cleared that up, he went on to behave as the guest he felt he was, letting his aide be a general for the night. By the end of the night, he spoke to the guests, most of whom were servants, only some received military credit. He said that there would come a time when black people became generals in the US Army. He won over that crowd with that statement. He was immensely liked. When he suppressed the British in the Battle of Saratoga, one of the most important battles that took place in October 1777, he was sent to the south to help General Greene, who was there fighting at Camden, Savannah and Charleston. It was there that Kościuszko famously built up Fort 69, which blocked the river passage between Georgia and South Carolina, saving General Greene's army. He allowed them to run away from the Brits before they could cross the river. Kościuszko saved South Carolina from a British attack. Eventually, the Brits capitulated in the south, though mainly in the Battle of Yorktown, and thus the War of Independence was concluded. Tadeusz Kościuszko was given the right to a huge land in Ohio. The state was not yet established, but the land in question was located where Ohio is now. With that, he was given the rank of general. In recognition of his valor and brotherhood, George Washington gave Kościuszko a saber with an inscription saying, "To the hero from Poland, the American nation." Thus, Kościuszko sailed away to Europe, just in time for some major events that would soon happen in the Republic. The Great Sejm, which lasted for 4 years, restored sovereignty for the Poles, Lithuanians, Ukrainians and Belarusians. In the third year of its inception, the Polish constitution was established. Poland was the second country in the world, after the United States of America, and the first country in Europe to proclaim its national independence, on May 3, 1791. Hence, this constitution is often named the Constitution of May 3rd. This was a common constitution of all the 4 aforementioned nations. Each of them have the right to say that it was their nation to give Europe its first constitution. However, it became clear that we would have to defend it very soon from Russia, Austria and Prussia. Catherine the Great had said from the very beginning that should a constitution be implemented in the Commonwealth, all the Russian peasants would flee to Poland, because the constitution ensured freedom for every man who entered its borders. The May 3rd constitution had its continuation. On October 22, 1791, a reciprocal guarantee of 2 nations, an addendum to the constitution, was signed.
Ta federacja już przetrwała właśnie do powstania kościuszkowskiego. Zginęła razem z pierwszą Rzecząpospolitą.
General Tadeusz Kościuszko was one of the most prominent engineers and most brilliant military fighters of Poland. He left a mark on not only Poland, but also the history of the United States. That's it for today. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. I'll see you next time on Poland Daily History.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Poland Daily Travel. Boy, we got a good show for you. The sun is shining, and we will be going over to Praga, the district of Warsaw, which is on the eastern bank of the Vistula River. We're going to start out, though, on the Holy Cross Bridge. From there to the west, you can see the spires of the gleaming new Warsaw. All those skyscrapers, very impressive. You can also see the old town to the north and the west. And on the east, of course, old Praga. Praga exists pretty much as it has for many centuries. It was not much destroyed during World War II, and now it's a popular bohemian hangout. We're going to take you for a walk right through the center of the main part of Praga. Action starts at St. Florian's Church. We'll see a milk bar and the 5 musicians statue, and hear a very famous song, A Dream of Warsaw it's called. And it's one of my favorites. We'll stop off at the Praha Cinema. Then we'll go to the market in Praga, the largest market in Warsaw today. The old school outdoor market hasn't changed much in 30 years. So come and have a look at alternative Warsaw. It's called Praga, and it's lots of fun. This is eye candy you'll happily digest. So come along. The next few episodes, we're on the eastern bank of the Vistula in Warsaw, in Praga district. Poland Daily Travel, the best travel about Poland you've ever seen. Hey everybody, we are in the heart of Praga. I promised you that we would come here, and we are here. This is the oldest part of Warsaw, the part that was not destroyed during the Second World War. It goes back a long time over here, and it's actually a very big area, because in fact Praga means all of the areas that are on the east side of the Vistula, or the Wisła in Polish, the Vistula River, okay? So this is where we are. Behind us is a very famous church. Down here is the train station, Wileńskie Station. You can see some things here. The zoo is this way. Now, we're not going to go to the zoo today, but we will go. And in fact, the zoo is very interesting here. Not only is it a good environmental zoo with a lot of really interesting animals, it is also the place, you can see the house, which was featured in the film The Zookeeper's Wife, starring Jessica Chastain. A true story of people saving lives during World War II, hiding people from the Germans in the Warsaw Zoo. But we'll do that another time. But the zoo's just there, and it's worth seeing. We were going to show you the bears, weren't we?
Yeah, and the donuts maybe as well.
We're going to show some donuts too. Yeah, we'll go to the donuts in a second. But the bears are not out. I don't know. It's the end of March, but they're not out. So that's a shame, because they have the beautiful brown bears that are usually just across the street, so anybody can see them. But don't mess with them, and don't feed them. Also, we got some lovely donuts over here. I might just go over there and purchase one, because you know how much, if you've been watching our shows, how much I love donuts.
And it's Fat Friday today.
Is it Fat Friday?
It could be for us.
If we eat donuts, we'll be fat. But not just one. We can eat one. You don't like donuts, do you?
No, not really.
No, you prefer hamburgers.
Yeah. Or steaks.
No, you prefer steak. She likes steak. But it's better for you. Anyway, let's see what else we get. That's it. Oh, but I forgot to say also, the old town is just across this bridge. The river's right that way. Bridge, not the bridge we were on, the next bridge north, and you go straight to the old town. We could walk there. We could be there in 10 minutes.
Walk and talk.
We could walk and talk. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to walk and talk through the heart of Praga. You're going to get a real sense of what these streets are like, these oldest streets of the original Warsaw that was not destroyed. Okay, and Stan's going to join us too. You remember Stan from previous episode. He's going to join us, and we're going to have some fun. But right now, I'm a little hungry. I think I may get a donut. What do you think?
Sure.
We get a donut?
Let's go.
Okay. You don't have to eat one. Come on.
Okay.
Dzień dobry.
here we are. Stan has joined us. Thanks for staying with us. We're still in the heart of Praga. We're about to take a walk, but before we do, it's worth talking about the square we're in, which is called Veterans Square of 1863, right?
Right.
What's that all about? Stan has a big brain. He's going to tell us.
So it's about, it's to commemorate the veterans of the 1863 uprising that was primarily organized in this part of occupied Poland. Remember, Poland was partitioned during most of the 19th century by three powers, Prussia, Russia, and Austria, and this part of Poland was part of the Russian Empire.
Right.
And it was the most oppressed part of Poland, so you had two major uprisings that happened here, the one from November 1830 and the second one of 1863. And so that's why this square is commemorated. And it was the bloodiest one because it was more like a guerrilla warfare rather than the
partisan,
other.
They call it, right?
Yeah.
Partisan war?
Yes, partisan war.
Well, we say guerrilla in America.
Yeah. For South America generally,
States,
yes, exactly. So this square is here to commemorate this event. And but before that, it used to be a square. You had a lot of fairs, like the horse fairs.
There was a famous horse fair here?
I'm not sure if it was famous, but I'm pretty sure there was a lot of activity, commercial activity. Remember, it used to be the poor part of Warsaw, and you would go like 2 miles this way, down this road, the Solidarności Aleja. You would probably be in the countryside already.
Yeah, this street runs right down, bisects Warsaw, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Solidarity Avenue.
And on the other side, you would go to the countryside. So what happened, Praga was expanding a lot in the 19th century, and it lacked churches. So at some point, the locals, the local parish asked the authorities, remember it was still under Russian occupation, we're in the end of the 19th century, and they asked the authorities if they could fundraise to build a new church. And so they did it, and they even were allowed to do it around Warsaw, which was uncommon.
But this was a huge thing to be put into Praga, right?
Look at the size of it, and especially for a poor community.
The two steeples are famous. The two steeples are famous too.
Yes.
It's a famous site around the city.
You can see them from the old town, and actually they were higher in the when they were built, but since the helmets of the church were so heavy, the tower started to crack. So in the 30s of the 20th century, they had to shorten the towers. But anyways, so they managed to fundraise some money. And then a wealthy aristocrat, Aleksandra Potocka, gave around 6,000 rubles.
Because Potocki family, of course, is one of the great aristocratic traditional dynasties.
One of the
dynasties,
let's say, most famous Polish aristocratic family. She was the heiress of the Wilanów Palace, and so she gave something like 6,000 rubles. Remember, the rubles back then were kind of the same market value as the dollars of that same time. And the overall price of the construction of this cathedral, because it became the Cathedral of Praga, was around 300,000 rubles, which is a lot of money. But locals couldn't afford it, so the city had to bail out some money to build it. And they finally did it.
So it was a big thing. Basically, it was a testament to belief and sort of raising the atmosphere of old time Praga, right?
Well, it was just a fact that the Polish community here, which was of course predominant in Warsaw, just wanted to have a bigger church, and this church is probably kind of
under Russian domination.
It's almost like a statement, right? This kind of neo-Gothic church.
It's an impressive structure.
And the architect told at the end, at some point of his life, he said it was his biggest achievement. Unfortunately, the church
his greatest hit.
Unfortunately, the church was blown up by the Germans when the Russians were closing in on Warsaw in September. On the 14th of September, they blew the church up. They were supposed to blow up the hospital, which is here, but fortunately, they didn't do it. They just instead blew only the church, which is also.
They blew it up.
They blew it up. You could see pictures like there's only parts of the outer walls.
Stan, thanks for that. Very knowledgeable, isn't he? It was excellent, I thought. Stan, very fluid. Okay, so we're here. We're in the Uprising Square. It's an essential part of Praga, a great place to start. You're in the heart of it right now. We're going to continue our walk. Here's the great, what's the name of the church again? St. Florian?
So it's St. Michael the Archangel and St. Florian the Martyr.
Okay. The Martyr, yeah.
And the Martyr,
okay.
yeah.
All right, and the famous old hospital is right over there. So this is really a quintessential place. We're going to move on now, and we're going to just start moving south a little bit, okay? Stay with us. What?
South?
We're going to go south, back there. Poland Daily Travel. Stay with us.